grudges and concentrate. Come, let us sit and try to relate. Because now, more than ever, we must show discipline, tolerance, and production to build a strong and better nation. I say that is the main foundation. So come, let us work hand in hand, because this is our land. Come, my brother, come, my sister, and let us build a nation together. Oh, yeah, remember, the key to success is working hard. For our country, we must have regard. Forget all your differences, let we start to build. And onward to progress we surely will. Because now, more than ever, we must show discipline, tolerance, and production to build a strong and better nation. I say that is the main foundation. So come, let us work hand in hand, because this is our land. Come, my brother, come, my sister, and let us build a nation together.
Come, my brother, come, my sister, and let us build Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique together. I want to welcome you to the Hub. Again, another opportunity that you and I have to talk, to discuss what is happening here in Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique. We have that opportunity, and let us make good use of it to educate one another, to disseminate credible information, to motivate, to enlighten others, because at the end of this class, you want to be in a better position to converse with your family members and friends, your workmates. That is really what it is, giving you more information to have that real intellectual conversation as you carry on with life. I want to encourage those who are on Facebook and YouTube, please share the live. Sharing is caring. When you share the live, you give your friends, your colleagues, the opportunity to be a part of the audience, to listen in, to comment, to chime in. That's the beautiful thing about this platform. I want to start off tonight by saying most of you who viewed the General Counsel of the NNP may have missed that part where Nolan Cox made certain statements, insinuating certain things, inferring. In other words, it led people to believe that this guy was arrested for free speech, that this guy was arrested because he is a podcaster and doing X, Y, or Z for the opposition forces. And that is not the case. Ziggy was not arrested for being on a podcast, for speaking out, for disrespecting people, for saying all manner of falsehoods about people. He was not arrested for that. That time may come when he may say something and somebody may sue him, may take him to court. But that is a civil lawsuit, not a criminal one. If he does something that would be criminal in nature, then he will be arrested. But a civil matter, if a person sues this guy for slander, then they have to go to a lawyer, then they have to send him pre-action letter, and then it goes to court. If he doesn't settle the matter before, they go into mediation and all kind of stuff, case management and, all that kind of stuff. And then it goes to trial, right? That's a civil matter. A criminal matter is something totally different. So this guy was arrested for a criminal matter or matters, because I don't know how many charges he got. But I'm saying to you, today I had the opportunity to speak to some of the people who were wronged, who this guy wronged, right? In other words, you had one of those persons whose vehicle is yet to be fixed. So it is alleged that this guy, Ziggy, the guy here who always on podcast saying all manner of things about people, all right, this guy, Ziggy, and maybe we can listen to what Cox had to say first.
I need not say nothing. We stand for democracy. We stand for democracy. When their surrogates was saying all kind of nasty things, they had no problem. We never arrest nobody. We never arrest nobody. Allow people to speak.
Right, so that's Nolan Cox, all right? And this guy here is Ziggy. And Ziggy is embracing Sheldon Scott here. So this guy he's embracing here is Sheldon Scott, the Tomcat. And you know what he did, right? He was at the center of cell phone gates. Over a 3-month period, this guy, Sheldon Scott, racked up almost $70,000 in bills, right? And he was not employed with the government of Grenada, but the government of Grenada was paying his cell phone bills. He was employed with the New National Party. After I broke the news and I exposed the wrong, he then came forward and admitted to the wrongdoing and said that he was going to pay. We know that the Attorney General sent a demand letter, a demand notice to him for him to pay. He then requested that they give him a breakdown of what he owed over that period of time. We are yet to get an update on where that matter is at the moment. So the Attorney General should at least update us, the public, on where that matter is. I will seek to find out though. I'm saying to you that this same Ziggy guy here, it is alleged that he was working with a garage, like a mechanic shop. And it's alleged that someone brought their vehicle there. And it's alleged that he took that vehicle and drove that vehicle down the south end of the island. And it's alleged that he met in a serious accident with that vehicle that doesn't belong to him, bouncing a vehicle or two. That's the allegation. And he fled the scene. That's the allegation. So it's alleged, the complaint, that is what it is. So the police was looking for him. They went to Gulf Coast, where he was very frequent. They went to Archibald Avenue, where he was very frequent, and they did not see him. But over a period of time, he started surfacing on social media in Carriacou. And then they decided, well, they got the man. All right? They got the man. So when he came down, or wherever he was, Carriacou, Grenada, wherever he was, the police apprehended him. They brought him in, read out his rights, and charged him based on this particular issue, this particular matter. All right? So the matter is now before the court. He was charged, arrested, and charged. Or charged and arrested. It's what it is. But Nolan Cox went in that general council meeting and he insinuated something totally different. Totally different. And I am saying, but why would you go on a stage and make those statements, giving the viewers, the listeners, this impression, this false idea that this guy, because he insinuated, Nolan Cox inferred that this guy was arrested, right, locked up for free speech, for speaking out against the government and so on. That is what he inferred. That is what I got from his pronouncement. And I said to myself, Nolan should know better. And that's just one of many things coming this guy's way. Because the NNP has a track record of attracting certain characters around them to speak for them, to advocate for them. You just check them out. Nearly all of them. Nearly all of them. So this guy, Nolan, disappointed a lot of people.
I need not say nothing. We stand for democracy. We stand for democracy. When their surrogates was saying all kind of nasty things, they had no problem. We never arrest nobody. We never arrest nobody. Allow people to speak. Allow people to speak, brothers and sisters.
Yeah, so you don't have to be a genius. This guy spoke there, giving people the impression that this individual was arrested because of free speech. That he was speaking and they arrest him because of him speaking out and so on against government. That is what I got from his statement. He was inferring, right? It's inference. But Nolan should know better, because you can speak out. That's not a criminal offense. No, that's not a criminal offense. And if you say something that's false against me, I can sue you for slander. If you write and publish something that's false against me, then I sue you for libel. It's defamation of character, defamation, right? Just different type. If you speak it, then it's slander. If you write it, it's libel. And the process is one where you have to go and get a lawyer and take the matter to court. You go through the different stages, but you take the matter to court. They would not come and arrest the person. No. So for this guy to go on a stage and make that pronouncement, Nolan Cox of all person, it says something about all of them NNP and them. And mind you, some of them who are NDC in terms of their family and so on, and they later become NNP, for some strange reason, all of them would start lying, start spreading falsehoods, start deceiving the nation. It's like a curse that normally would take them. I am saying I had the opportunity today to speak to one of the ladies involved in all of this. Right? At least a lady, I would not call her name, whose vehicle was involved in all of this. And she indicated to me the police was looking for this guy for quite a while. They were looking for him. All right? And as he started showing up in Carriacou and other things of that sort, then they were able to get him. So it's not that they just go and arrest the guy like that. He's accused of committing a crime. And as a result, the police is doing their work. How would you like for you having your vehicle, bring it by a mechanic, and somebody get into your vehicle because they're working with the mechanic, take your vehicle, drive your vehicle, and bounce your vehicle on another vehicle or two? How would you like for that to happen to you? And the person fled the scene, run from where that took place, and just vanish. Would you like that? No. So that's the allegation. That's the allegation. So the police investigated the matter thoroughly, and as a result, they charged the individual. And if you bounce, why run? Why flee the scene? Why run? So I am saying Nolan Cox come last by going on that platform and spreading those lies and giving people this false idea that the police arrested this guy for free speech and for talking against government and so on. That's the idea he gave the general public, because he was inferring, it's inference. He was insinuating that that's the case, when that is false, totally false. So while Nolan didn't say the exact word for word, he inferred, he insinuated. There was enough in that piece to lead me to believe that is exactly what he was pointing to. But that's not the case. The guy did something wrong and he was arrested and charged. Right? Or charged and arrested. Because they're going to read your charges to you first. This is what you're arrested. I'm arresting you for. That kind of thing. Right? Somebody saying, I saw the accident in Grandance down by Silver Sands Day. That's what somebody's saying. All right? I don't know if it was by Silver Sands. Some people are saying it was closer to Junction in Lansepine, that area there. That is what some people are saying. All right? But I'm saying to you, I spoke to the person today. I spoke to the lady today, and she gave me the account. I followed up with a particular individual who was involved in the whole investigation, and I got the truth from that individual. He was able to corroborate the whole thing. He was able to confirm what the lady was saying, and based on the charges and so on. But I am happy that we are able to get the facts and put it on the table. So while we are treating it as an allegation, right, it's alleged that this is what took place, right? He's accused of X, Y, and Z. The fact remains he was charged, arrested, and charged for the offense. And let's see how it goes from here. All right? But please, folks, do not believe that the police arrested this guy for free speech and for being a podcaster and saying nasty things about government or anybody else in government or this minister or that minister. No, that is not the case. Democracy is alive and well here. When I started off with this same program, I got pre-action letters from the NNP, some NNP frontliners. Keith Mitchell, I got pre-action letter from Keith Mitchell's lawyer asking me to compensate for X, Y, and Z, apologize for X, Y, and Z, or else the matter will be brought in court, and asking for big compensation. But that didn't go anywhere because I knew what I was saying was the truth and nothing but the truth. And I held to that. Right? So don't worry them, because they cannot arrest you for slander. They can take legal action against you. And if you're found guilty in a court of law, then you might have to pay thousands and thousands of dollars. All right? You may have to apologize. You may have to, just like WeFM. Some years ago, some statements were made against me on the Plead Your Cause program. I recorded the program and I decided to take legal action against WeFM and against Shaggy Patrick Duncan, who was the host of that program. The station decided to apologize and pay the legal fee, because I did not pursue them for any money. I could have decided to pursue them for money, for financial compensation. I did not go that route because we all are in the same business. Shaggy decided to push it further. So we end up in case management with Shaggy. And then he later agreed that he would apologize a number of times and pay the legal fees again. So both of them paid the legal fees when it comes to the matter, and they apologize and apologize and apologize for a number of days. Right? But I could have easily pursued them for money because I had the evidence before me based on what was said on that particular program. I could have gone that route, but I was never in it for that. I decided apologize, pay the legal fees, and to the lawyer, not me, I didn't get 1 cent out of this. Apologize and let's move forward. We all in the same business. We could make mistakes and that kind of thing. All right? So I am saying I'm very disappointed in Nolan Cox, but not surprised, because Nolan Cox is out there speaking about schools and the reopening of schools, and he has all kind of bad things to say. On one side of his tongue, he commending the government. On the other side of his tongue, he criticizing the government. And the NNP was clamoring and asking for schools to reopen even faster. Now that they reopen the schools, they have a problem. 1 minute, they were saying, let them people go in the Chinese houses. The government decided, well, you had some people in a shelter, and that shelter had some problems. Let's put them in the Chinese houses. All right? They put them there. Then the NNP turned around and criticizing them. Well, why are you putting them there? There's mosquitoes in the building. Right? And rodents might be around the place. And this might happen and that might happen. Why you want them to put them? You see? So you cannot satisfy NNP. You cannot satisfy them. They're just against everything that the government does. We are learning as it relates to the teachers, the temporary teachers, because that is almost totally resolved. After tomorrow, you would hear zero about that. After tomorrow and Friday. All right? What we understand is that the Public Service Commission is the one responsible for every appointment, temporary or permanent. Everything has to go through them. The teachers who are temporary, they come in because the permanent teachers are on leave, or when I say leave, maybe maternity leave, maybe sick leave, maybe study leave, they're on leave. So you have to get somebody to fill in for them as a temporary teachers. But the Ministry of Education sent all the required documentation for the temporary teachers down to the through DPA and down to the Public Service Commission. That's the system. That is how it works. All right? So they send that down there. The Public Service Commission now would look at it, and then they would approve or disapprove and send it back to the Ministry of Education. That was sent to the Ministry of Education in June. And they sent a portion, 25 or 26, somewhere around there, back to the Ministry of Education. All right? Only recently. So the Ministry of Education then has to send it back to DPA and then to the Ministry of Finance for payments to be approved. So payments was approved. Right? So payment was approved. Payments were approved for the 25 or so teachers, temporary teachers. Then today, another batch of temporary teachers, again, the Public Service Commission approved that for some temporary again. Because as you go in the system, you discover you need a temporary teacher here to fill in here. You need one here, you need one here, you need one here. And you get them in. So today, another set was approved by the Public Service Commission. They sent that back to the Ministry of Education, and then they worked overtime to send it down to the Ministry of Finance with the hope that by Friday, all things, all matters regarding, the payments and so on might work out and they might get their money by Friday. But I am saying this is not new. This is nothing new. Nothing new. Under the NNP, they experience similar things like that. So it's not new. But because the NNP had a really messy general council, they decided, well, okay, let us see how we could jump on that. Let's jump on that, man. And let's make this an issue. It's not that the government don't have money, They have money. But it's just the system where the Public Service Commission is not a department of the government. It's an independent legal entity responsible for the public service, all the ministries and everything like that. And no minister could tell them what to do. Not even the Prime Minister could tell them what to do and what pace to go and how to do things. And that is what people need to know. So they're taking their time to do what they have to do, but the government getting blame and the ministry getting blame because the teachers are saying, we need our money. It's temporary. They're temporary teachers and they have commitments and so on too. And look, I am all for them getting their money, and getting their money early o'clock. But there are teachers who are temporary and they had to wait for 2 and 3 months to get their money under the NNP administration. But I am saying, you hear some of these people speaking as though first time this thing happened and as though the government has some problem with finance and money. No. The government doesn't have any problem with money and paying these people. It is just the system, the process that they have to go through. Because they are temporary and not permanent, they have to get a contract or a letter stating the terms of their employment. Because they're filling in for a teacher who traveled maybe on study leave, or a teacher who is on sick leave, or a teacher who, temporary. Temporary. That is what it is. But the NNP, man, they jump on the thing. Because why? They believe by jumping on this issue, they would, for some strange reason, they would cause people to believe that, what happened in the General Council, that gone and everything is A-OK, everything's smooth now. That is what they believe. But little do they know, because Grenadians are on top of this. Because lest you forget, they arrested, the NNP administration arrested Jude Bartholomew, detained the man, put him in a cell, the president of the Teachers Union.
Days ago, the leader of the Grenada Union of Teachers found himself at the St. David's police station, where he was asked to report so that the lawmen could ask him some questions. The line of questioning focused on protest marches orchestrated by teachers who are in the heat of a battle with government over pay increase. Union leaders saw this as an act of intimidation and wrote the Minister for National Security, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Mitchell, to register their concern. On Tuesday, they met with him and Police Chief Edwin Martin. The TUC delegation was led by President Andre Lewis.
The TUC met with the Prime Minister and Minister of National Security, together with the Commissioner of Police, where we raised our deep concern about the calling in and questioning of Comrade Jude Bartholomew, the President General of the Grenada Union of Teachers. We expressed our concern and views that this matter was engineered by the fact of the ongoing protests of the teachers, and we felt that it was designed to send a message to the public sector workers in particular that are fighting the government on the 4%. And we raised our concern along that line. And let me just say that the meeting was held in a very cordial manner.
The TUC and as president, is there a case
Right,
against
so-
Mr. Bartholomew?
Not that we are aware of. No.
Right. So there was no case against Jude Bartholomew. They just decided to intimidate them, arrest the guy, detain him, and put him in a police station, and they send that message, right? So lest we forget that. Lest we forget all of that. All right? These things are still documented. Still documented.
The Union of Teachers Jude Bartholomew has responded to allegations by Education Minister Emmeline Pear that students at the T.A. Marichaud Community College have been offered good grades by lecturers as bribes to join them in their ongoing protests. The minister was addressing the New National Party supporters on Thursday night when she made the statement.
When I received a call from someone outside of Grenada saying to me, Minister, what is going on at the college? That lecturers are offering students to increase their grades if they come on the picketing line. We cannot afford to affect the integrity of our only community college, and no lecturer should be allowed to get away with something like that.
President of the GUT, Jude Bartholomew, says these allegations added insult to injury.
And what we are saying here, to add insult to injury, after these workers, lecturers and everybody have been working hard at TAMCC, making tremendous sacrifice, we see that the Minister for Education just come out and make an irresponsible statement talking about grades. This is degrading to our lecturers and to workers at TAMCC.
Yes, so that was the environment under the NNP. And anytime you hear Emmeline Pear speaking in that kind of voice, watch her. Anytime you hear that woman speaking this kind of cry voice, dangerous voice, watch her. You hear me? Watch that woman. But anyways, I am saying to you, that was the environment under the NNP, where teachers and public officers were marching every Monday morning for the little kakada, for the pension, for the little money. That was the environment under the NNP. So to come now and give the impression that you care.
Joint negotiating team PWU and TAO says all hell will break loose if tomorrow's negotiation with government result in another dead end.
We told the meeting that leave that up to us. They're prepared to do whatever it is. And the situation tomorrow will determine what needs to be done. Right? But it is clearly not accepting what the government previously offered. Yes, and if they come with the same proposal or offer, then it means that they are taking us to Mama Gayos, and we will not accept that, and all hell shall break loose.
The unions have also expressed concern over the apparent infringement on salary negotiations brought about by enactment of the fiscal responsibility legislation.
Yes, and that's under the NNP. All these things are happening under the NNP. But you see, the NNP wants to play as though they're on the side of teachers, on the side of public officers, because NNP just want to get back into power. All they want is to get back into power. That's all they want. And they would use anybody, any group, any organization to get back into power. That is what they want. And when they get back into power, then they take advantage of them. They exploit them. They treat them badly. We have seen that over the many, many years of NNP being in power. They don't genuinely care about anybody. Look, for example, they're saying all kind of things about the government and the farmers ain't getting pay and the farmers ain't getting this and the government said they're going to pay. Now that the government is paying the farmers because they told them month end. Now that they're paying them, the NNP not saying a word. All what they want is bad news. Come out and say, well, I want to commend the government for paying off the money and paying out the money and so on to the farmers. Right? Do that. You're not going to do that. You complain about the schools not opening in Carriacou. They open it. Well, come out and commend them now, applaud them now. No. The NNP is all about negativity, all about lies and misinformation. That's all they feed for. But boy, Clarice made me laugh, yes? Clarice Modeste made me laugh. You know, Clarice wants to attach the chicken farm fiasco to the NDC, boy. Nah.
Let me see. You spoke about the fowl farm. You need to ask NDC about the fowl farm. Because when NDC came in office in 2008, the fowl farm was very viable. The project was a viable project. It hadn't started yet, but the project was viable. The money...
All right, you see? Listen to her. You see, sometimes you have to listen to what they're saying, you know. She lying so damn much that she's saying all kind of stupidness. Listen to her.
Let me see. You spoke about the fowl farm. You need to ask NDC about the fowl farm. Because when NDC came in office in 2008, the fowl farm was very viable.
The fowl farm was very viable.
The project was a viable project.
The project was a viable project.
It hadn't started yet, but
it hadn't started yet. So here it is. So, oh Lord. Boy, these people are them think they could fool people, you know. Do you know when the NDC came into power, that millions and millions of dollars that was allocated for this particular project was already utilized under the NNP administration, and not an egg, not a chicken, not a piece of backaneck, not a feather, nothing could be found regarding this particular project? This same chicken farm, fowl farm project. This same project. So the NDC came into power. When they came into power, this project started under the NNP. And they used up, the NNP administration had directors and all the who and who running this project. And they utilized millions and millions of dollars. And not one thing happened with this particular project. But Clarice, girl, you're brave, yes? You're real bold face, yes? So you believe you could come now and talk this nonsense for people to, what, you want to rewrite history? It seems as though she wants to rewrite history. When the NDC came into power in 2008, this project started long before, you know. Long before 2008. Clock, the ghost chicken farm. long before that. I wish I could find my hands on that. Let me see. Chicken. Let me see. Chicken farm. Grenada. Scandal. All right, scandal. St. Mark. Yeah, it was the missing millions by that shrimp farm. Let me see, a political career full of allegations. Let me look here. Yeah, somewhere around the place here. It was somewhere wrong with this chicken farm. I think it was Spice Islander that carried that story. Somewhere around there. Chicken farm, Grenada. Let me see. Yeah. Right. Political. Yes. But somewhere around there, you still live working in the poultry sector. Let me see. Clock, right, like that. Right. So, I remember things, Yeah, man. I remember things. Fellow Grenadians, do you recall that I was the first clock to, let me see here. All right, good. Fellow Grenadians, do you recall I was the first cock to crow on the matter of this ghost chicken farm at Victoria? It was in August 2005. August 2005 that I addressed the Prime Minister of Grenada, the Honorable Dr. Keith Claudius Mitchell, in the newspaper on what I considered a matter of utmost public importance concerning the waste of taxpayers' money. Now that the latest cock to crow so far is the Director of Audit of Grenada. In his special audit report dated November 2006 on Grenada Broilers Inc., the company established by the NNP administration to develop, improve, and extend local poultry production. The Director of Audit's report was laid before the House of Representatives on the 22nd day of February 2008. In April 2003, the new National Party government announced the establishment of Grenada Broilers Inc. Incorporated, GBI, to produce, process, and efficiently market quality chicken products that enhance the nutritional health and well-being of the nation in a cost-efficient manner. In November 2003, just before general elections, NNP made a lot of loud noises, cut down plenty cocoa and banana trees, tractored land, and dug up the place to impress the electorate. On the 25th February 2004, Minister Gregory Bowen informed the nation that a board of directors comprising Richardson Andrews, Patrick Antwine, Dr. Bowen Louison, Dorothy Fletcher, Stan Phillip, Thaddeus Curtis Batiste, and Fitzroy James was appointed. All right. The minister at the time spoke about that, purported that a hatchery, a fully automatic processing plant with the capacity to produce 2,000 broilers per hour and broilers houses to accommodate 1.8 million birds per year, as well as feed storage, packaging, and distribution facilities were being built. In an article titled Clock, I pointed out to the Prime Minister that nothing had taken place between November 2003 and August 2005. I informed him that I had visited Victoria and not even a good old yard fowl is to be seen in that place. I complained that he had given no explanation to the nation on the absence of progress with the project. I reminded him of some of the things that had happened with Grenada Broilers Inc., since the appointment of the board of directors, which had not been made public. Example, the loan of US 6.9 million, that's EC 18.63 million from the Royal Bank of Trinidad and Tobago, which was granted for the project. I asked about the employment of Kenneth Bailey as operations manager at a monthly salary of $8,120. Oh, what a foul smell, I observed. My inquiries had disclosed that this man, Kenneth Bailey, was brought in from Jamaica, all expenses paid. He was given housing, traveling allowance, and a lot. That was in 2003. He had been hanging around since then, being paid for doing nothing, as though he was an orphan that the people of Grenada had adopted. No answer came out of the Prime Minister, so I continued to crow. It calls also for an explanation in a country where we have responsible government elected by the people. Keith Claudius Mitchell cannot refuse to answer, keep quiet, and send his highly paid minions, not elected by the people, to let me see, obfuscate the issue by pretending that something been done. For there has been no answer to the question with respect to Kenneth Bailey being paid for over 2 years to do nothing. For now, the Director of Audit's special report on the ghost farm, which was unconstitutionally stifled by the Minister of Finance for over a year, discloses the true story of this government's callous disregard for accountability in the conduct of the nation's affairs. Let the Director of Audit crow. In paragraph 5.3.0 on page 8 of the report, he states, the company paid a total of $453,881.81 as employment cost for a financial controller and operations manager. However, there were no production operations or place of business up to the time of the audit. So nothing was there, nothing exists. In other words, there was nothing to show for the money, not even an office. In paragraph 5.3.1, he states $254,485.31 was paid over a 16-month period to the operations manager, emoluments, traveling, relocation, and termination of contract. However, I did not see any report detailing the activities of the operations manager during that period. In other words, the director saw no evidence that the man did any work for the money he received. In paragraph 3.3.2, he states $96.50 was paid to financial controller over a 3-year period, $74,000 of which was a retroactive payment for a period when the company had no working capital. However, there were no proper documented financial system or financial report. In addition, vouchers were not numbered, a cash book was not maintained, and bank reconciliation statements were not prepared. Again, he had no evidence of work having done for the payment received, as he said in paragraph 5.50. I am therefore of the view that the board did not have adequate systems in place to monitor the activities of the company's senior employees, and that the company did not receive value for money from the employment of these 2 officers. All right? And it goes on and on and on and on and on. President it speaks about the president in Trinidad and what he spoke about accountability and transparency and so on. And it goes on, and the amount of millions. Fellow Grenadians, next week, you would read about the $815,070 thrown away as deposit on equipment and housing for the birds, and the $585,072.19 for legal fees without a feather to show for it. Heavenly Father, send a David Thompson. And at the time, David Thompson of Barbados was Prime Minister. And, there are different parts to that. All right? Different parts. Section 1, Section 2, speaking about the same thing. I just read a portion of it. All right? Nice. So I am saying to you, this whole chicken farm fiasco, this fall farm fiasco, saw $18.63 million just vanish like that. Gone, without a bird, without feather, without egg, without nothing, no building, no nothing. In this, watch, under the NNP administration, under the Keith Mitchell administration, Grenadians really lost a lot of money, And the fall farm is not the same thing as the shrimp farm, The shrimp farm is something totally different. And it always has to be somewhere in St. Mark. It always has to be somewhere in St. Mark. The shrimp farm, you remember the shrimp farm? Where Grenadians lost $54.2 million, $54.2 million. All you think this thing is easy? Huh? Or do you really think this thing is easy? $54.2 million. That was the shrimp farm. Remember the shrimp farm fiasco? That's the kind of money that was lost in the shrimp farm, $54.3 million. And still these people are telling you they're coming to rescue Grenada. Coming back to rescue Grenada. All right? Don't forget that. Don't forget the shrimp farm. Remember the shrimp farm?
Was for a project in Grenada also linked to an ambassador role.
Yep. So GSA was the project, and then Acros, they were the people who were bringing the money in.
Yeah. What would have been here and what is here now is totally different.
The site was meant to be an organic shrimp farm, a government-approved project for foreigners to invest in and gain citizenship.
They spoke about a lot of jobs, for this area. All in all, I feel like a real disaster for the country. That didn't go on.
Carl David was working for the man who initiated the project, Leo Ford.
So we would have employed 100 folks in the area that had the highest unemployment rate on the island. So there had to be something going on the island where they needed a big rah-rah for the election, because the election was coming up.
Plans for the shrimp farm were announced by Grenada's Prime Minister.
I'd like to invite to the podium the Prime Minister of Grenada, Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell.
I'm so proud of what we've seen here this afternoon, and I look forward to it, to see this project take off in every sense.
The PM, as we were walking out of that, I said, I'll build it, but I'm going to need your help for the approval process. And that's when the Prime Minister said, well, the election's coming up. We take campaign contributions, talk to my ministers.
How did you interpret that comment?
That means they wanted a lot of money to make everything go ahead quickly.
Soren Daoudi, the Swedish national, was the partner who raised the project funding. Both Leo Ford and a colleague say Daoudi told them he was offered an ambassador role.
Soren was talking with his attorney, and his attorney, who's very well connected with one of the ministers, convinced him that he could become an ambassador for the UAE from Grenada.
How did he seem to feel about this?
He was like a little kid in a candy store. He went out and bought himself a pair of $800 or $900 shoes In the ground opening, it had rained and it was muddy, and he's traipsing through in these beautiful fancy shoes.
A year later, Keith Mitchell won his 5th term in power, but neither the ambassadorship or the shrimp farm ever materialized. Sorin Daoudi denied he'd been offered an ambassadorship and called it a vendetta by Leo Ford. He also denied the money raised was missing. That's now the subject of an investigation by the Grenada government. Keith Mitchell said all the allegations about him were false and came from political activists wanting to tarnish his name and hurt Grenada.
Yeah, so Grenada lost $54+ million in that shrimp farm, you know. So in St. Mark alone, the government and people of Grenada under the NNP administration, under this nasty regime, we lost in excess of $70 million, because 54 million plus 18.6 million, you could do the math. Forget about the 600,000. 18. Directly, that's $72 million just like that. Yeah, and I'm talking about EC. All right, so yeah, Pili, EC. So that's 70 million EC we lost in those 2 projects. Taxpayers lost 70-something million in just those 2 projects in St. Mark. The money just vanished, just like that. Nobody went to jail. Well, one man got killed, right? One of those convestors got killed on some boat, some yacht, strangely just died. But that's what happened. Under the NNP administration, it was free for all. You just come in and you get rich overnight with taxpayers' money. And those political bastards want to come back and rescue what? Grenada? Those political nastiness, no good, want to come back and rescue Grenada? What's wrong with all you? Or do you think people are stupid? You see, they believe that the younger people don't know the history. They don't know about the nasty conduct. They're nasty to the core, you know. These people, in my belief, destroyed this country. Look at the amount of million, and that's just 2 projects, you know. 2 projects. That is why when I see some of them on stage talking, just feel to go under Miss Omen bed, you know, and take she still pee and just, you know, just toss it in the old pigtail lip and just toss it in their face. It's too damn wicked and nasty. They have destroyed this country and rob and rape this country of millions and millions of dollars with their convestor friends. That's what they have done. They're nasty. They're dirty. There's a stench coming out from these people. And then they come in and talk about they want to rescue Grenada. Who all you could fool? Or you could only fool certain people. Anybody with sense would never follow you all. You all are no good. The evidence is there to show that these people are nasty to the core. But they believe that the younger set of people will not remember those things because they never experience it. And that is why they Fred your humble servant, you know. Because I am a student of history. I will remind the listeners and viewers, and they know I have thousands of people listening to me. Thousands. The evidence is there to show. And they know that for a fact. They know that Kendon Jones has thousands of people listening to him every day, young, middle-aged, and old. Listening to him every day. And now our radio station is up and running big time. You can get us anywhere at any time. So they know that. They're fully aware. For tonight, I have almost 900 and something people looking at me on Facebook and on YouTube at once. The program before that, 10,000 people listen to me on Facebook. The program before that, 10,700 people listen to me on Facebook. The program before that, 17,600 people listen to me. The program before that, 15,400 people listen to me on Facebook. The program before that, 13,100 people listen to me on Facebook. The program before that, 23,900 people listen to me on Facebook. The program before that, right? Well, these programs, they were not properly recorded. Here, these two, because I had to remove it. It's very short. The program before that, 16,100 people viewed that program. The program before that, 19,300 people viewed that program. The program before that, 14,000 people viewed that program. The program before that, 13,000 people. The program before that, 17,000. The program before that, 18,400. The program before that, 16,800. The program before that, 19,800. The program before that, 16,500. The program before that, 22,400. The program before that, 17,500. The program before that, 16,800. The program before that, 17,000. The program before that, 23,000. The program. They know. They know. You think they know? They know that I have thousands and thousands of people listening to me. And that's only on Facebook. You know? That is only on Facebook. I am not talking about YouTube, where I might have 2,000, 3,000 people listening to me there. Or on the radio, 5, 6, 7,000 people listening to me there. You think they know? They know. So, as a student of history, I continue to remind our people. I continue to refresh the memory of our people. Because our population is youthful. A lot of young people within our population. And you have to remind them every now and then. And you have a duty, parents. You have a duty to remind them, right? You have that duty. And I want to encourage you to do so. Do not hesitate. Remind them about what happened in the country under the NNP. Folks, I want to wish you all the best. Have a wonderful night. I will be back with you again tomorrow, God's willing, in the dynamic hour, starting from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. We're going to continue that journey because we have to empower people. We have to educate our people. We have to enlighten our people. And remember, this program is paid for by people just like you, overseas, here in Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. You can give financially to this program to pay the bills, to keep things going. My number, my WhatsApp number is scrolling under the program, 1473-415-4817. If you want to donate, if you want to give something to the program, you can. All right? You can do so. It's easy. Send me a WhatsApp, call me on that number, and you can take it from there. I want to also say thanks to Maureen M. Charles for donating through me $1,000 towards Damien's, on the Damien's push for an ambulance, all right, to get out of Grenada. The minister this morning explained that he's coming on nicely, and we must continue praying for him, continue wishing him all the best. So I want to thank Maureen Charles for that donation. So I handed over that today. And it was nice because Damien was actually there when I called that niece of his on the phone, and he heard there, and that was really nice. Really, really nice. I'm happy. Really happy. All right? I really love that. And he also was thankful for that. So the folks out there, once you can give towards getting him that ambulance out of Grenada, please do so. Please do so. That's a really good thing. All right? Everything doesn't have to be politics and making things political. Nah. You look at one person, $1,000. You had the NNP, for example. They had the General Council, they pick up a $3,000 something among all of them that was there. And they make a big fuss over it, and you hear them calling on programs, and it's what they're saying. Because for them, everything is political. Look at one person. Through me, give $1,000. All right? You think that Keith Mitchell couldn't give a $10,000 or $15,000? He wouldn't give his money. He would not take his money and give his money towards all of these things. He's going to talk. He's going to bump his gum. But he would not give towards nothing in this place. But folks, I want to thank you very much. So again, as I was saying to you, if you want to support this program in any way possible, holler at me via WhatsApp, 1473-415-4817. I'll answer you. All right? We take it from there. Because the bills have to be met. We have little things to take care of. It is so important that you give so the program will continue. so that the program will continue. So have a wonderful day, night, sorry. Have a wonderful night. Take good care. You hungry again, Zoe? Come and say hi to the people. Come. Every night you hungry, you know? You alone? Oh, Lord. You think so easy? Come. Watch it pass out. Lord, every night you hungry. Huh? Every night. What I cut off the fan for? Don't ask me what I cut off the fan for. Because I don't want no noise. Come and say hi. Yeah, oh, Lord. Every night so you hungry, you know. Say hi.
Hi.
Come down here. Sit down here and say hi. Come, sit down. Say hi in the mic.
Hi.
Say good night.
Good night.
Say, ask them, how are you doing?
Hi, how are you doing?
All right. How was daycare today, Zoe? You give trouble to that daycare?
No.
You didn't give trouble? You behave a nice girl?
Mm-hmm.
All right, good. So you'll get something to eat just now, Lord. Every night, Zoe. Huh?
No.
Get out of the studio now?
Yes.
Look at my trouble here with my daughter now. Get out of the studio now. Why? You're locking the door. All right, Zoe. Zoe, Zoe win. All right, folks. So